Hello and welcome to the CHRISTWVRKS podcast. Today I got Olivia, Chell with me from Insider Tattoo. Olivia, can you just briefly say what it is you do for anyone that might not know you?
I do all that. What do I do? Tattoos. I used to do tattoos, painting. I do a lot of karaoke. I do all that. Yeah.
Well, I did not know that you were a karaoke person.
Oh, mate, I'm a demon.
What's your favorite karaoke song? What's your go-to?
My Sharona is a one. Yeah.
That song for the first 2 weeks of lockdown was like absolutely incessantly stuck.
Yeah, it might have been a bit ruined now actually, but
yeah.
My Sharona used to be one of my top ones. Or the other one is Aqualung by Jethro Tull. That's sick.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I'm like without fail, it's Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Oh dude, I would love to see that.
And then closely followed by Jolene, which is, the name of my dog as well.
Of course.
Yeah, me and Abby, the night that we got engaged, we were like away in like some like castle hotel, but it was during summer, so they were having like karaoke nights in it and stuff as well. And then we did Jolene, and they actually pulled the plug on us because we were like kind of like screaming and swearing so much during that they literally turned it off.
The last time I went out for karaoke with Jess Richards, who as we know is a legend, she did Jolene twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't enough.
Dude, she would have gone for a third, but she wouldn't. She wouldn't be told. She was loving it.
Jay-Z and Kanye West, when they played like some really big gig, apparently their encore was N-word in Paris 3 times in a row. They just literally just did it consecutively. And it's just
giving the people what they need.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they want.
Your face is all paused. I don't know how to get you moving again.
I think it'll just happen. So just try. Okay. Hopefully, I'm not looking too ugly.
No, you're kind of making like a face. I like it.
All right, nice. Right, okay. So, what have you been doing since we got locked the fuck down?
Painting like a nutcase. Painting a lot. That's pretty much. I'm seeing myself as still having a full-time job, or just painting constantly because the rent is high and I gotta make money. But also painting, painting is just what I do all the time anyway.
You're definitely like a proper painter. As in whenever I'm in the shop, you always have like a painting on the go.
Yeah. No, I've always been like that, and it keeps my head right, and it's also a chance to kind of experiment with ideas or colors or shapes that I'm not very experimental in my tattooing, so I get a bit wild in painting, so try things out and learn stuff. So yeah, I really like painting. So I've just been painting nonstop.
I mean, are you doing commissions, or are you just doing stuff and then selling it? Or
yeah, I'm taking on commissions. Not currently because I've got a lot on at the minute, but I took on 2 kind of huge commissions and then a few smaller ones, which was just amazing to have that support of people.
Yeah.
People reaching out and saying, yeah, I want something cool from you, and I want it to be big, and I want it to be, this is my budget. And so that was it meant a lot. It was quite moving,
I think people because there is actually, as much as there is a lot of people who are really struggling at the moment, there's a lot of people that aren't, but then they can't spend money on anything. So I think people are actually kind of being because that's one of the issues with being a tattooer. Is it's weird. As soon as you're tattooing, then suddenly no one wants to buy your art from you because they only want as far as giving you money for something, they want a tattoo off you because then it's more valuable. But then now suddenly tattooers are getting asked for these commissions for paintings and stuff that they never ordinarily would be getting. Which is pretty cool. I mean, I'm buying shit tons of art.
Oh really?
Yeah, every day. I'm
nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not spending money on anything at the minute. I'm panicking every time I have to put the heating on, but I bought an original off Joe Spaven when we first went into lockdown, just because I figured I'm not going to be able to buy any art or anything for myself really for quite a while. So I got one of his little originals, and it's so sick. Like, I'm so glad to have it.
Already got it.
Yeah. It's like a little Namakubi head. It's like, one of his A5 original. So nice. Like, and it was great getting that off of him, and just, I don't know, trying to, when I sensed that everything would be shutting down fast, I tried to kind of just reach out to a few select people and buy stuff, because I knew that once it was like locked down, I wouldn't be able to. So, yeah.
So like, have you always been like painting a lot, like before you were tattooing as well, or?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like a painter, but I was always just drawing and sketching and doodling stuff. And, like, I was always the kid in school who was like drawing on my workbooks and that. And like I was never doing my schoolwork. I was always just drawing. But I never had anything else I wanted to do apart from tattoo. So I was always trying to copy tattoo designs or draw tattoo designs. I wasn't like an artist first that got into tattooing. I was always very much like, I was just interested in tattoos and like tattoo, like iconography, I guess.
Well, how old were you when you sort of first started working in the shop?
19.
Yeah. So you've been straight in it, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I came out of college. I did an art foundation course in Manchester, which was like, I didn't learn a goddamn thing about art, but it was fun, and it was, I met my first love, and I had a good time and everything. But I always knew I was basically just doing that because my mum had asked me to do it.
Yeah, totally. I would not have been at university if it wasn't for my mum.
No.
Like, it almost didn't seem to me an option that I wouldn't do it. Like,
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to.
My mum and dad, my mum was the first person in her family to ever go into higher education, So she really had this thing in her of like, she'd had to knock her bollocks in to get to where she did. And so she saw me as like, you have the opportunity to do this that she didn't have at my age necessarily. So she was like, you have to take this opportunity. And I was just like, nah. Like, I want to draw tigers. Like, I don't want to,
I think it's also like, there's, for parents, like, it's not because they want you to do something that's like less fun. It's because they're trying to protect you and give you the most options possible, that they're like, just go along the most commonly tread path, because that is safer, like they're just not wanting you to get eaten by crocodiles, basically.
Yeah, totally. And definitely, like, me wanting to be a tattooist, she saw that as like a very crocodile infested water that she just wanted to keep me out of. She just did not want me going into tattooing. So she was trying to get me, maybe be an illustrator, maybe do something else, and I just had no interest ever.
Yeah. Like, so when you did start working at a shop, what was she like?
She was great, because even though she didn't, I think she sort of didn't think it would last in a way. So she was great. I was still living with my parents when I started my apprenticeship, and so they were helping me out with a lot of stuff. So they were super supportive in that way, but they were always just like, they wished I wasn't doing it, but they saw that I was, so had to support me. They're terrific, they're really great, but it was just never what they would have wanted for me. And and especially when I started getting tattooed, that was more of a problem than starting tattooing. That was yeah. We had words. We had a lot of words about that.
I love that when obviously I still get it as well, and it's like, this is literally what I do for a living. Like, and
totally.
Yeah, but you don't have to look like all the mutants that you tattoo.
Yeah, I know. But you've already got tattoos. Why do you need another one?
Chill. I love it. I really don't think, when they say sentences like that, I really think in their head it's like, I know this sounds retarded, but I'm going to say it
probably.
anyway, because I just need to fill the silence. Like,
but my mum's pretty laid back about it now, to be honest, and like, she really.
How long have you been tattooed now?
A decade. It's been 10 years. I mean, it's just been a decade. It was 10 years in March since I like did my very first tattoo, and now I feel like when we get back to it, I'm going to be starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
So like, it's been a decade, but also it's been so long since I tattooed that I like all bets are off. Like who knows?
Like
Didn't say that.
Just I know, but it's like the even the notion of having a machine in my, even though I'm drawing all the time, the notion of having a machine in my hand just feels like it will be completely foreign to me.
I just hope that whatever I'm doing on my first day back, it's not lining. Like,
oh, really?
If I have to like line a sleeve or something, like I don't know what's gonna happen. If I'm colouring in, I can get into the swing of things.
Yeah. I did like one of those live stream things, and people were asking me questions, and like someone was like, "What's the first thing you're gonna tattoo when you get back to work?" And I was like, well, hopefully something fucking easy, like script or something, because like, you know.
Oh, you find script easy?
Well, yeah,
script
but metal script though.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, where like, you know.
I was thinking like Edwardian, you know.
Like, yeah, but yeah, I mean, because it'll be terrifying, but also like, yeah, I just have no idea. You know, it's like when you ride a bike after not touching one for 10 years or whatever, you know, like it's.
Yeah, I can't ride a bike, so.
All right, well, you're fucked then. Yeah,
I know.
But like, oh, so okay, so if you've been tattooing for like 10 years, then be the start of the 2000s that you started, and
it was 2010.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So like, we have a copy of Skin Deep in the shop that's like from like 2004 or something like that.
No.
And it's like, man, it is seriously like a thing to look at. Like when you go through it, there's few pieces in that book that don't look like something that might be on Snake Pit now. You know, like it's so like for you, like so in the last 10 years, like you pretty much have seen it go from what it was like before to like the Instagram age, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but also I didn't have access to the internet for a lot of my life, and I certainly didn't have Instagram or even Facebook for a lot of time. So I really, even when I started tattooing, I wasn't really clued in on what the state of tattooing currently was. Like I knew my introduction to tattooing was mainly through like 80s and 90s tattooers. And then further back than that, like I had a lot of books on, you know, like the classic Japanese tattooists and stuff. And then also like I was really into like Tony Cohen or Shotzi Gorman and Jack Rudy and people like that. So I wasn't really, just because you couldn't just go onto Instagram and see what's the tag is for tattoo. You kind of had to, or for me anyway, I didn't have access to tattoo magazines or anything. I'd probably get like one tattoo magazine a year when I went into Manchester and found the shop with the tattoo magazines and had the money to get one. So I didn't have a clue. Like, so probably tattooing was a lot more, you know, diverse and varied, and there was a lot more cool stuff going on that I just did not know about, you know.
I don't think there really was that much cool stuff going on back then.
There was though, because you see like you know, you see Philip Liu's work or Sabine Gaffron's work from the like the late 90s, and it's mind blowing, you know.
Garber as well, and stuff like
absolutely, you know, that so there was some incredible stuff happening. It was just maybe not the flashiest stuff that you could put in tattoo magazines at the time, or it wasn't on, you know, a hot lady that would get naked in a tattoo magazine, so no one ever saw it. Like, you know.
Well, yeah, my problem is like just back then you know, because when I was growing up and I'd look at tattoo magazines, it would be almost exclusively shitty tribal and new school. So I was just like, I think I hate tattoos. You know?
No, but I loved that.
Really?
Oh, mate, I just loved tattoos. I just loved everything.
Well, that's the thing. I was like completely obsessed with like the notion of tattoos.
Yeah.
I never, or like it was rare that I'd see something that really resonated with me in terms of like, I want that on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think like I was much more particular about it back then. Whereas like, you know, like the more deep within it you get a greater understanding and appreciation for other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of tattoos now that I would never have got back then.
Oh really?
Yeah. like, well, yeah, I was like, I don't think I.
Oh, your tattoos are pretty sweet. What have you got? Any like real clangers?
No, not like that. Like more like just like when I was first, when I was younger, before I had tattoos and stuff, I would like look at like traditional, like proper traditional. I was like, yeah, that's cool, but it's not for me. If you know what I mean. So now I have like a lot of traditional tattoos. So
yeah. Can you remember what the first tattoo you ever wanted was?
Probably the Slipknot S, which was a shitty 90s tribal, actually.
And flames.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like the Chester Bennington flames.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What about you? What was yours?
I wanted a spider on the sole of my foot because I thought that was sick. I thought that was really cool. And my mum had told me that she would pay for that when I was 16, and then it came around to me being 16, and I was like, "Remember you said?" She was like, "No." Like, not in a million years.
Well, and also it's just fully illegal, so
yeah, for sure. But we grew up with that thing of like, oh, it's 16 with parental consent, because there's a lot of tattoo studios.
Fictitious, though. There was no such
tattoo studios that would rather make the money out of an underage client,
Yeah, fuck man, it's so.
I mean, I've tattooed a lot of underage folks.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, when I started out, because that was the shop policy, was that we'd tattoo 16-year-olds with their parental consent.
What sort of stuff were you doing on these children?
Names, a lot of names, flowers, but like not the big flowers that I do now, little floral things, names. Most of them were super sweet. Like most of them were really lovely. A lot of folks just straight up lied about their age as well. So I think I've probably tattooed a lot younger than I think I have as well. And now I'm really like super hard on it. If someone comes in for a tattoo and they look even, a tiny bit younger than
I remember at the shop one time there was a bit of a palaver about your client's ID one day or something. Because it was just like the kind of thing where she didn't have it with her, but I don't think she was from Edinburgh or something. So you ended up having to like. Yeah, I can't really remember, but yeah.
The big palaver I remember was this really sweet customer of mine who's lovely, but the first time he ever came in, I just looked at him and I was like, it was just, I don't know if I'm like too sensitive because I worked with young people for a long time. I was like volunteering at a youth group. And so I was around young people a lot, and now everyone looks young as hell to me, always. And he just came in and I was straight away like, nah. Like, mate, have you got ID? He's like, oh no, I didn't think I'd have to bring any, but he just turned 18. And I was like, I'm not
retarded, like of him.
I was just like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to tattoo you without your ID just because like it doesn't feel right more than anything. And he, bless him, had to get on a bus, go home, get his ID, come back with it and show it. All in all, the round trip took about an hour and a half, but I was like, I'm not doing it. Like,
that's definitely the right thing to do. And on his part, it's like no one goes out on their 18th birthday night out to go to bars without taking their ID. Why the fuck would you try and get your first tattoo?
I know, but he wasn't thinking, and I think he had to, because he as well wasn't originally Scottish, so he had to come in with like his entire passport. Like he didn't have a driving license or anything, so he brought his passport in. And anyway, he's been tattooed by me like quite a few times since then. He's a super, super cool guy. But I was just, I always remember that one of being like, I was on that line for a second of like, should I just go with it? But nah. So now if anyone looks even a little bit questionably under the age of 22, it's just like ID them, before they even pay a deposit, like check the ID. Because we don't want to be.
I mean, you're risking your own career, basically.
And the shop really, because it's the shop that would get shut down. It's not me that would lose the license probably, or maybe it would. I don't know how it works, but I was protecting the shop in my mind.
Yeah. So like like what your apprenticeship was it like? Would you describe? Well, you're already laughing.
No,
what was it like?
Well, it was super fun a lot of the time, and it was really dark at other times. It was a real it was amazing because it showed me every single face and every single side of tattooing. You know, I was in environments and situations that I'd just never been in before. I was a super naive kid. You know, I was 19. I was fresh off the farm. I was from a really small town, a really rural small town, and I'd never met the kinds of people or been to the kinds of places that my apprenticeship took me to. And it was amazing. It was an education. So sometimes it was a bit, a bit terrifying or a bit traumatizing or whatever. And it was hard work. And there was a lot of kind of psychological games that were played. All in all, it made me like, I don't know. I think I think I needed toughening up. Maybe I didn't need toughening up to that extent, but I see myself now as like a very versatile person and also someone who I'm not easy to intimidate or scare. And I think that's why was due to that apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I was shown everything.
Yeah, like I think that there's that thing of apprenticeships needs to be really brutal and hard and all that stuff. But I think if you're taking an apprentice that is like literally 18, 19, it's like you kind of need to like give them a sort of lifetime's worth of experience and and then overcoming of like adversity within like a very short space of time, so basically that's what the benefit of that can be. But then to me, that's why I would never take an apprentice that is like that young and inexperienced in life. I would
1,000,000%. Because you shouldn't have to, and you shouldn't want to break someone in.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't be arsed.
No.
Firstly, I couldn't be bothered having to like go out of my way to be a cunt to someone.
Yeah.
And then and then for two, it's like I don't have it in me to be like that anyway. So yeah.
I think for a while after my apprenticeship, I still had the view very much of like, yeah, it should be hard and it should be fucking rough, and you should have to do all these terrible things. And then when I was working with young people, there was a couple of young folks, or there was one in particular, and they just started a tattoo apprenticeship, and they were telling me about it, and it just sounded like they were being taken advantage of, and a lot of stuff that had happened to me was happening to them, but a lot of things that shouldn't be happening to a young person as well. And I caught myself because I was almost saying to them, well, dude, that's just how it is. You want to be in the gang, you want to be in tattooing, you just got to go through this. But then I was like, hang on, there's not one other young person in this group that if they were in a job that they were telling me was treating them this way, that I wouldn't go, you got to stand up for yourself. Don't take that. Yeah. No one should make you feel like that. No one should be taking advantage of you like that. What's wrong with my head that I think that's acceptable for tattooists and for no one else? Like, so I caught myself in that moment and was just like, that shouldn't be happening. Like, that shouldn't be happening to you. That's not okay, Yeah. But for so long, I'd just been like, yeah, it should be hard. It should kill you. Yeah, no, not anymore. Not anymore. I think that there's stuff that, there's hard parts of it that are going to be hard no matter what. But putting on the extra levels of there's no need. There's no need for it.
Like, I think, but then it's like, so what you just said was that if you want to be in the gang, then this is what you've got to do. It's like, but right or wrong, then that still can be true. Like, if you want to be a tattooer and then the only apprenticeship, if you're lucky enough to get an apprenticeship, and then it's like that, then at that moment in time, that's your fucking best option. So yeah, I mean, surely it's better to just put up with it and stick it out.
I mean, it certainly was for me. It was like I never even considered leaving my apprenticeship. Even in the times when I was really kind of struggling with it, I never even considered walking out because I was like, well, no, this is it. This is what I said I'd do. I have to do it. I have to see it to the absolute bitter end. you know. So and there's times looking back where I probably I should have left, like I should have walked away, but my own bloody mindedness and my own kind of like the way I saw the honor of tattooing and that side of it, I was just like, no, I've got to stay no matter what it takes. And I think about if that had been a friend of mine that was going through the same thing and I was looking, you know, in from the outside, I would have told him to leave, you know. So, but that like you say, if you work hard enough to get an apprenticeship, once you find one, you just want to like cling on to it with everything you've got, and you're like, you know, I'm not starting this again from scratch.
Yeah, well, exactly, because then also that's the other thing is like, it only gets really, really bad once you've actually invested a certain amount of time in it. And
yeah.
Then, so then obviously you're like, well, I'd be throwing away all that time invested, as well as the fact where if I find another one, there's a pretty fucking good chance it'll basically be exactly the same.
Or worse.
Yeah, or worse. Yeah.
And you know, you get yourself to, yeah, oh well, this is pretty bad, and I have to do this, but at least I don't have to do that. And you know, and oh, this guy, you know, he said this to me, but at least he didn't say that, or at least he didn't do this. And so you always think, well, but I must have it pretty good. And I did, like, you know, like I say, I did have it pretty good in a lot of ways. But it was it was varied. Like there's things that I'll say about it publicly, and then like if you and me go for a drink, there's other things that I'll say about it, you know. So like it was various.
Well, yeah, I'm exactly the same, right?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's the thing with most of these things is like, it totally depends on what you're like, but you know, it depends on what bridges you're willing to burn about what you're going to say about stuff. But do you think your apprenticeship was different because you were a girl?
I don't know. It's difficult because I obviously I don't have many apprenticeships to compare it to. You know, there was an apprentice at the same time as me. There was some overlap for some of it. I think I'd been in it for about a year, and then he came in as an apprentice, and we had very, very different apprenticeships. But I think the reason for that was that when I was taken on, they needed someone to make money fast, so they got me tattooing really quick. And when he was taken on, they needed someone to mop. So he was kept back a lot longer than I think longer than he should have been, you know, because the guy's a really talented artist. So we had very different apprenticeships, but I don't think that there was a gendered element in that. I do think that like, do you know the story of how I got my apprenticeship?
No.
So when I first met the guy who eventually took me on, he was looking at my work and he was chatting to me and he was like, yeah, you know, there's some potential in your drawings and you seem to have a good work ethic and you want it, but I just don't want to take the risk because I don't want to take on a young woman. I just don't want to. And I was like, oh, why? What's up? He goes, well, you get pregnant. He goes, you know, they get pregnant and they walk away from it. He's like, it's happened to me before. It's happened to friends of mine. So I don't want to take on the risk of a young woman. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get pregnant. Like, don't worry. You can count on me not getting pregnant. And he was like, you say that, but shit changes and like priorities change. And if you meet the right fella or something happens and, you know, shit happens and you're just gonna have to roll with it. And I was like, no, I can 100% tell you that I'm not gonna get pregnant. And like looked him in the eye. And like, and he looked at me like, and then I worried like, oh, he thinks I'm ill or something. Like he thinks I'm sort of like, you know, some sort of bad ovary disease or something. So I was like, oh, because I'm gay. Like just because I'm gay is all that I mean. And he goes, oh, fucking hell, when can you start?
Yeah, nice. Yeah. That's
so
cool.
I mean, it's weird because you know, maybe I wouldn't have got my apprenticeship if it weren't for that. So it was weird because a thing that I thought would be like a mark against me, because I wasn't about to come out in this way to this person that I just met, this like bald-headed Northern Irish biker who I didn't know. You know, I wasn't about to tell him I was gay in the first time of meeting him, or even, you know, I didn't have a plan, but I wasn't planning on telling him anytime soon. because I thought it would be a mark against me, and it turned out to be the only reason that you took me on. Like, preposterous but true. So I guess in that way, like, my experience was different, because if I'd have been a young woman with a boyfriend, maybe I wouldn't have, maybe I would have struggled.
Like, I mean, this is a less tattooing related question, but I never even would have considered the idea that would be a mark against you, even from a guy like that. But I'm then also, but like, if it was me who was gay and talking to a guy like that, I would definitely avoid saying that. But if as a girl, was that still something that you worried about when you were young?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even now, you don't always want to tell everyone you meet, because you don't know when you're going to get a weird ass reaction, so it might not ever occur to you that would be a mark against somebody, but to someone who's had to be a gay guy for a long time and has had to, in various ways interact with the rest of the world, you realize really really soon that a lot of people are going to have a problem with that, or a lot of people, or if they don't have an outspoken problem with it, are going to have some element of discomfort that's going to make them act really, really bizarre around you. So
avoid it.
And I didn't know any I didn't know any other gay tattooists. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know it was a thing, really.
It's a pretty big thing now, actually.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I still can't name that many, but I think that the fact that there's more tattooists in general means that tattooing has become like more inclusive to people who might have previously not felt like they had a way in, or like their ways in were quite limited. So that's really good. If it's bringing good people in, then I'm all for it.
It's I think the whole the breaking down of the what we think of as being of who a tattooer can be, like now, and like the sort of some people would call it gentrification of the tattoo world, and like a lot of art students coming in and stuff to it. That has obviously been a huge contributor in it, because if you fill the tattoo world with like art students rather than like bikers and
guys like us, tough guys.
Exactly. No, that's the constant joke that I always make, is like that, like, when people talk about the gentrification of tattooing and how it's being eroded from the inside and stuff, I'm like, that's me they're talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
No, and I'm not proud of it, but I definitely don't try to pretend that I'm not that, because it would be, firstly, disingenuous, and I would get called out for it, and secondly, like, you have to take ownership of who you are, I think.
You have to take ownership of who you are is a big thing. I think anyone coming in and putting on a huge persona is always something to sort of to watch out for. If they come in, I'm the toughest guy, that's a bit of a red flag for me. But also, I think a lot of the folk who are new to tattooing and who are like gentrifying it or whatever, and coming in without the attitudes that we're used to, some of them will stick around because they're really good and they work hard and people like what they do, and some of them will be won't stick around and won't stick to it, and will have really dug it while it was trendy and big and booming. And like times like now, I mean, I wonder how many tattooists just aren't going to come back to tattooing after this.
Why do you say that? This is something that a lot of people are saying. I've heard that sentence said a lot recently, and especially.
I'm basic. What can I say?
But like, but why do you think someone would stop doing it after this?
Basically, I think that tattooing is on trend. It's mainstreamified. It's it's
cool,
trendy.
basically.
Yeah, and it's cool. I mean, we know that. We know it's cool, but it's like cool to everyone now. So a lot of people would have come in to say, oh, here's a thing that I can do that will get me some acclaim and get me some money, and all this stuff, and
working in Tesco, basically.
Yeah, or better than, you know, pursuing my underground rap career that was going nowhere, or, you know, who knows. And
hey, my underground rap career is not going nowhere.
I'm not slagging off your underground rap career, mate. I know you're the next big thing.
Yeah, single dropping next week, bro.
Yeah. But I think that, like, and those people, like I say, some of them will really stick to it and be amazing and be really good things for tattooing because they're coming at it from a completely different angle. But some people as well, when that wave that we were riding the very crest of falls and drops and tattooing isn't cool anymore, they're not going to stick with it. Like, why would they? And right now we're at a point where all that money and acclaim that, you know, you could perceivably get from tattooing is just gone. Like, we're not making money out of tattooing anymore. So a lot of folks will go back to their underground rap career, or.
But I mean, do you think that what is happening specifically right now is going to be the thing that does that? Because I mean, yeah, it's like we are not working at the moment.
Yeah.
But as soon as it starts again, we will be. You know, no accountants are still working. Like, no restaurant owner is going like, oh, well, I guess I'm never going to own a restaurant ever again.
Yeah.
You know, like, even if the restaurant that they are currently owning like goes under because they financially can't afford to keep it going, it's not like they're going to like then go like, well, that's the fucking food industry out the window for me.
Yeah, because that's who they are. Yeah. But I'm saying for a lot of people who this isn't who they are, this will be the first slump that they've seen in tattooing ever. You know, I remember back in my day, but that's for someone my age to say that, you know, grey hair and all. But when I started out tattooing, we would have a really long dead periods where we just weren't tattooing anybody. You know, we'd have whole weeks where it was dead. And I haven't had a period like that like in a long time, and I think a lot of people haven't. So this will be the first time that people have seen like a huge slump, you know, and a standstill really of tattooing. And so that's going to shit a lot of people up, and they're going to go, "Ooh, actually, this is not so steady a thing as I thought." And actually, being self-employed is kind of a trip, and actually not being able to do the thing is scary. So maybe I'll try and find something steadier. That's what I think. But who, you know?
Yeah, I think what I worry about with having the attitude, because okay, so like we could like people like me and you that work at these like kind of like established and shops that have like been around for a while and you know at a certain level, like I think what I always worry about is if when we say like we're in this like circle and then there's all these like people coming into it doing something that they're doing it differently from us, and we don't agree with that because we have aligned ourselves with this like, you know, traditional, or like I just worry that we're the establishment when we say that, like we're the man, like in regards to tattooing, it's like we're the man. And you know, when we have these young whippersnappers who don't understand, you know, what I worry is that we're like the old rockers and they're the punks coming in, you know, and like we're the old rockers being like, it's not even fucking real music, you know, these punks are having their stupid haircuts and coming in here thinking they can do things weird and different, but it's no right.
Who is this GG Allen?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't want to be that. I want to be the weird kids, you know?
Oh, I know. As I said, like if people are coming in from different angles, I think that's great. And I think the ones of them that are really into it will stick around because they're doing interesting and new things. Like I'm for sure I'm into, you know, people having access to come in and try shit. I'm just saying that it's very likely, what with the high numbers of people like that not all of them are gonna stick with it, you know. I mean, not all the people that were in my kind of batch of people coming to tattooing stuck around, you know. I think that's the thing with everyone. And because the batches are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the percentages of people that don't stick with it are going to get bigger. But for sure, there's going to be a lot of people who are just starting out tattooing or were just starting out tattooing 2 months ago that are going to go right back into it, make amazing stuff, and 20 years from now are going to be like, you know, mind blowing. I definitely don't want to keep people out.
Yeah, I think that is what the problem of it is that gatekeeper mentality that a lot of the more like traditional people can have, is like like the tattooing's full, like.
Yeah.
But I think also because I've thought about that notion a lot over the last couple of years, and like I think a lot of that is just like people who feel threatened.
Oh, I totally. Absolutely, because if you've been working 6 days a week for 25 years and suddenly work's not as busy as it used to be, and you're seeing loads and loads of people coming in, and loads of studios opening up, you're only going to think like, stop stealing from my plate, and that's totally reasonable. I don't see, I mean, there's a lot of like territorialness and competitiveness within tattooing that I think is totally unreasonable and disgusting, but I can see the concerns there. I can totally see it. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can empathize with why they would feel that way, but at the same time, I then go, well, it obviously is fucking rich for me to say that because I'm literally one of those people doing that.
Yeah.
Right? So like, but I would say like, you can't tell like the customers, the people in the world, you can't tell them who they are choosing to get tattooed by.
Aye.
So it's like, if some like young kids who've been tattooing for no time whatsoever are stealing all your customers, and you've got 25 years experience, like why is it they're choosing to go to them rather than you?
Because they're more versed in the art of Instagram, perhaps. Because they're better at branding themselves, perhaps. They're better at coming in straight out the gate with a really clear identity and a really clear brand and a really clear way of branding themselves. And if I'm just saying, you used yourself as an example as well, man, And if you've been working at the same shop for 30 years, you never had to brand yourself as anything. You've always just been the guy who does the thing, and people know you because you're cool and the neighborhood knows you, But then when it comes into bringing customers from Switzerland and Swaziland, they're not going to go to you because they don't know who the fuck you are. And so I think it's a really super interesting part of tattooing and a super interesting part of tattoo culture that people are now expected to sort of brand themselves somewhat.
But is that like, so that is the older guys not more pissed off? Really what it is they're pissed off that they're having to do an extra job that they didn't have to do before. So before they had an
extra job for sure. You're right. I mean, how many have you been speaking on this podcast to any like proper old schoolers,
who have Jason and Dan recently. So Jason and Dan are the two old school guys I've hit.
Jason and Dan are whippersnappers.
Well, yeah, so not like old.
Jason's 32 years old. Did you know that?
He only recently finished his apprenticeship, right?
Right?
Yeah, he started late as his apprenticeship. But why? Do you think I should speak to someone that's like properly?
I think it would be interesting. Yeah, I think it would be really cool to have those like completely. Yeah, I think you should speak to. I think it would be interesting to speak to anyone with like a real, like, wealth of experience in one thing. Like someone who's only ever tattooed in prison, for example. Someone who did tattoo for 5 years but now hasn't done for 19 years. I think that would be super interesting.
No, definitely would be. Yeah, I mean, and because. I mean, and because I so much am the problem, like that. Like I think it's really interesting, or I feel very lucky that I don't actually get called out for that more often. But then it's maybe
is that a thing that you live with? Is that a thing that you have, that you see yourself as the problem?
I see that people could call me that, but I think my saving grace is that I do everything by the book, and like my work is a constant. Even though I don't render things in a traditional way. All of my work is based on the iconography, like almost exclusively. So yeah, but yeah, I do think I'm pretty lucky to not get called out as being like a young hipster tattooer. But I think but no, so I do worry about that a lot, like constantly, probably.
I think you shouldn't worry about it. If it hasn't happened, don't worry about it. You know, if it never happened, don't fret.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, when I was new to tattooing, like I'm still fairly new to it, but when I was brand new to tattooing, I constantly had that chip on my shoulder of like, you know, people are gonna say that I don't know anything and I can't work as hard and I can't drink as hard as everyone else, and they're gonna call me out for being this like middle class countryside backwoods kid that doesn't know a fucking thing. So I've got to make sure that I'm working harder, drinking harder, more ruthless than anyone else. And so conventions were always like the chance for me to just like break my back with how much I was working and like drinking as well, because I had this huge chip on my shoulder that someone was going to rumble me and like tap me on the shoulder and say, hey man, you don't belong here. And so I had to be constantly proving myself. And I think I did myself like a bit of damage, you know, in that time. So
I think it's very common, whatever someone is doing, to do that when they're as young as you were, though.
Yeah,
I think that's also my saving grace, is that I am like older. Like, so that I also I've done a lot of things, like, and also very extreme things in my life before I started tattooing. Well, like I've had a lot of extreme life experiences. That, like, so I've kind of got like a self-confidence that
for sure,
that a 19,
which I didn't have.
Well, you've got nothing to back it up, you know,
for
because
sure.
you haven't done anything yet. So there's no like no 18-year-old should have that level of confidence, because you know, if you've physically not had enough time in the world to have done anything, so it's not your fault, you know.
For sure.
But I think I definitely, when I was that age, being in like, you know, the Edinburgh punk scene and stuff, I definitely had that thing of like having to live up and show off and stuff. But like, it's funny because, you know, the older you get, the more you realize that the harder that you're trying to impress people, the less impressive you are. You know?
Yeah. I see young tattoo apprentices now that are like exactly who I was then, and I'm like, oh mate, like, you know. And anyone who met me at that time will probably be like, that Chell's a wanker, like, you know. But that's just how it was. That's how it felt, you know. It felt very real that I had to be overdoing absolutely everything and overdoing every aspect of my personality, because I was around these huge characters all the time, you know.
Yeah. I think also, but I mean, at least you got away with it. You were doing that in a period of time where it wasn't like really common to get your face tattooed, and that's what we're at now. Well, I think that getting a face tattoo very early on thing is like, there's like an aura surrounding the tattoo itself that you can just sense, you know. Like, I'm not hating on absolutely everyone that gets their face tattooed. I would fucking love to get my face tattooed, but I just
really,
yeah. But like, but I'm not there yet, and I don't. And also, considering certain aspects about my personal life, I don't think I ever will do it, because I'm worried about how my children's lives would be affected by it. And my own vanity isn't enough to make a good enough reason for me to sacrifice that, if you know what I mean.
Hi, man, but also by the time your kids are in school, everyone's going to have, you know, everyone's dad's going to have a face tattoo. Everyone's mum's going to have a face tattoo.
So if it is like that, then I don't want to do it as well. So it's better to just not.
You're like, I want to be an outlaw enough to be an outlaw, but not too much of an outlaw to be an outlaw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm a nice boy, you know.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You don't even know. Do you have your hands tattooed?
No. I've got this one little tattoo on my finger.
Yeah.
But that's it. I don't have anything. I mean, this one kind of creeps the tablet, like, not really. I've just never been in a rush for it. I've never been in a rush to get tattooed in general, you know. I mean, money was definitely a big a big break on the amount that I was getting tattooed when I first started out. I just didn't have much money at all, and I wanted good tattoos, so I'd spend a lot of cash on one tattoo and then not get tattooed for like 2 years. So I've just never had like a period where I'm constantly getting tattooed, probably until like a few months ago actually, where I was getting a lot, and then obviously now I'm not. But I've never been in a rush to be very covered. I love tattoos. I love all the tattoos I've got, but it's not like there's not like a destination I'm trying to get to with tattooing. I'm just collecting what feels right when it feels right. So I doubt I'll get my face tattooed, but I might. You know, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there's also
I like my face as it is, you know.
Yeah, but then it's also the older you get, you know, there comes a point where it is probably not necessarily a great idea to get your face tattooed because it will just not sit right. You know, if you are quite like that, you know, it's like it's not going to sit the same as it would have done when you were younger. So
yeah, but you just find a new way to make it sit, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
You
just
find a new way to place it and stuff.
Yeah, you got like sick tribal, like following the curves of your jowls.
Yeah, why not? You know, really accentuate those jowls. That's what I want.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. In fact, if you cut this podcast down to me saying accentuate the jowls, that's everything I need to get across.
That's your tattooing philosophy.
Yeah. I don't know, like I say, I'm not in a rush for anything. I'm not in a hurry to get to a point where I'm extensively tattooed or anything like that. So I still feel like I'm relatively untattooed as a tattooist.
Yeah, well, I think that line of what we describe as being heavily tattooed in society has taken a huge jump up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can have a whole bunch of tattoos now, and people still wouldn't describe you as being heavily tattooed.
In Edinburgh, for sure.
Yeah.
In Bali, it's a bit different, you know.
Well, how was it like there?
Oh, it was amazing. Every 3 steps that I took in Bali, someone goes, "Hey, nice tattoo!" Or they go, "Hey, Yakuza!"
Yeah, nice.
It was crazy.
Isn't Scotland? I read somewhere that Scotland is like one of the most tattooed places per capita in the world.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I hope that.
And it totally makes sense because like everyone is tattooed, like at least a bit, and like I mean, for me growing up, like I think my work hugely is influenced by like what I would describe as dad and uncle tats. You know, like proper like fucking like Scottish hard man stickers, like you know, like a dagger, like with a thistle and like you know, like all that shit. And that's I'm just trying to recreate that. But,
that's it.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So another thing I wanted to ask you, like drawing from scratch, do you think that's like an important thing? Because like you're like a huge drawing straight on person.
Yeah. I try and freehand everything that I can freehand, like within the bounds of reason. I tell you, drawing from scratch, especially during this time, has been pretty important because I don't have a printer. I don't have an iPad. I don't have shit. I've just got my old brain here, and so I when I started taking on commissions, this lovely dude, I really really like him, and he's great. But that he asked me primarily for a zebra, and I was like,
horses are difficult.
You draw a zebra? Like I just can't. I don't know how to draw a zebra. If I was at the studio at my usual drawing setup and I had a printer, print out a nice zebra face, trace it, you know, we'd be in business. But I can't do that, and I can't draw a zebra. So I can do big cats, I can do snakes, I can do dragons, I can do birds. That's it. Don't ask me for any other shit.
Did you not give it a go?
No.
I would have loved to force you to like show everyone your zebra.
Dude, like, why do I want to put myself through something like that? It's such a stressful time. Like, hell no. So I was just like, dude, I love you. I love everything about you. You're not getting a zebra from me in a million years. And he was like, oh, can you do a leopard? I'm like, oh no, maybe. But we did a leopard. We made it nice.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Just a panther with spots, right?
Yeah, for sure. Who can't draw a panther with spots?
Yeah, it's like a bear. Like when someone asks you for a bear, you just do a fat wolf with curvy
Yeah,
ears.
it's
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
But a zebra, get out of here! Like, there's no way.
Yeah,
No
no,
chance.
I really like horses, but they are really, really hard to draw.
Oh,
Like,
mate, they're impossible.
yeah. It's like, but like, especially like when you do a full body and the proportions of like their legs are so hard to get right because it's the whole thing of like, unless it's right, it looks wrong. You know, unless
Yeah.
it's perfect, it looks
Oh,
totally
for
wrong.
sure.
So, like, yeah.
For sure. I think I watched your episode with Jack, and you were talking about how there's a million right ways to do something and one wrong way, and all the other all
Yeah,
the
I was trying to figure that out.
and with horses for sure there's a very narrow margin of the horse not looking fucked up, and then
Yeah.
everything else is like ugh.
But it's also if you're really used to doing like wolves or like
Yeah.
or like cats, then you're not because like their bodies are like, you know, they have the same like leg structure, but then the proportions are so different, and
Yeah.
so you're
That's my
obviously
first
naturally
tattoo
just
as a horse.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
First
But
and second.
sorry,
First and second tattoos of mine were horses. We got two horses.
really?
Yeah, and it was Kanaya who did them, who's amazing, who now has 9 tails, but at the time was working at the family business. And she really didn't seem that stoked about it, and I didn't know why. And then I tried drawing a horse and was like, yeah.
Yeah, when I got Jack to do the horse and like knight on my wrist,
Oh yeah.
he was like, I don't know why he
This
said
is
he just couldn't
terrible.
find he just like couldn't find reference to do the horse.
Yeah.
Like because it was supposed to be rearing up and stuff, and then he was like, yeah, but then I was like, right, I'm just gonna have to actually draw this from scratch like a real like artist or something, and then he was like, yeah, it actually came out pretty well, and I was like, yeah, well done. But the
Oh,
thing
so
is,
you designed that?
no, Jack did it.
Oh, Jack did it.
Yeah.
Have you
But yeah, no,
designed any of your own tattoos? That's something that people ask me, and I always think is a really weird question. But now I'm asking it to you.
well, when Jack first started tattooing me, what we'd do is I would Photoshop the the image using like photos of like either real animals or whatever and or drawings of things. And I would Photoshop the composition, and then Jack would print that out and then trace it in his style.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of really.
It sounds nice. Collaborative effort.
Yeah. But then that's because I was just so particular about what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, when you first start getting your first tattoos.
Oh, Yeah.
And then now I realize what a prick I was being. But then at the same time, once we worked out that system, it was actually very easy. And there's a whole lot of work that Jack didn't have to do, so he was pretty happy with it, I think. So
yeah.
But yeah, what about you? Like, how did you?
Just the tattoo that I've done on myself, which is like a chrysanthemum on my knee, or just above my knee. That's the only one I've designed. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I tried to have way too much input on those first two tattoos, the horses, just because, like you say, when you first start in, you've got this real image in your head, and
well, you're scared as well because you've never
totally.
that experience, so you don't
hand
over that level of trust. And also when you're new, if you're going from no tattoos to getting one tattoo, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. It's still 100% difference to your body.
Absolutely. And you've just got this in your head of like, what if I hate it? And everyone around you is saying, what if you hate it? What if you hate it? What if it's shit? And so you're just like so anxious about it. So I definitely tried to like grasp onto that design process like way harder than I should have. I should have just trusted Kanaya. I would have had cooler tattoos out of it. But I'm lucky that she was great, and she did like amazing tattoos for me regardless. So
yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Do you get that ever? Do you get people being quite control? Well, I suppose that you're kind of drawing straight on people, right? So
yeah,
that's like the get out clause.
It's a dope filtration system because people say to me, you know, oh, I need to see something drawn up beforehand, or I need this, and I go, nah,
Yeah, so
No, sorry. And a lot of people, that puts them off, and that's totally fair. But a lot of folks are like, oh, okay, like let's do it that way. Let's, if that's how it works for you. So it's
people
good. So I don't
love it though.
What's
Like
that, sorry?
when the whole process of getting stuff drawn on them, people like absolutely love that.
Yeah, totally. And I love it,
Yeah.
and it's great because you can tell someone as they're booking in, like, this means that it's going to fit your body and it's going to be a collaborative effort between us because you're going to see the drawing happening in real time, and so it's exciting. But it's for sure not for everyone. But it does mean that I don't really get like controlling customers or customers who are too like I never have to like change a design a million times.
Yeah, that's
And
what
I
I was going to
see,
say, that like the
yeah.
amount of times when you show someone a drawing, the amount of times that you get asked to change something about the drawing is like, there's a certain amount of times that happens for anyone.
Yeah.
You almost never, ever, ever have to change something when you draw it straight on, because they're just so like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like,
yeah.
I think there's something very ritualistic about, and like very like I don't want to say tribal, but like there's something about like drawing the tattoo straight on someone that is so
Intuitive, perhaps? Like, sorry? Intuitive, as in you're just going with the thing.
It feels like a very ancient and very human thing to be doing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that, but it's funny that even now, and then obviously we're using fucking like electric machines to do it.
Yeah.
But like and because we're not doing it in a fucking forest or something like that, we're doing it in a nice tattoo studio. Like, you'd think that feeling would be like we wouldn't notice it, but you do really feel it when you're drawing on someone.
It's always going to be a weird and primal and magic thing, I think.
Yeah, primal. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
I think it's always going to feel like that, just because it's so strange. It's such a weird thing to do. Such a weird thing.
That's the thing, is it doesn't feel weird. That's what's so weird about it, is that it doesn't feel weird.
It will when we get back to it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's going to be a whole lot of weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, man.
Fine.
I'm hungry for it. Like, yeah. I'm for sure enjoying this quarantine time, but it'll be nice when life's back to normal. Defo.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. The only this is like my perfect life if I could just tattoo like 2 days a week as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
do you do it 2 days a week?
I do so much music and stuff as well that like when I'm tattooing like 4 or 5 days a week, I still do the same amount of music stuff, and it's there's only so many hours in a day, so to actually give myself time to do as much of all the stuff that I want to do as possible, and then also have a relationship with my wife, I kind of need to tattoo like slightly less. I definitely, like, if I didn't have to do homework, I would tattoo like 4 or 5 days a week, no problem. But because my drawings take so long,
I guess I don't draw for customers, but I am constantly painting, so
yeah. But then I just have too many extracurricular activities because I can't. If I have an idea, I have to do it, and I just can't stop myself. So yeah, but yeah. Like, after talking to Jason about it, I definitely felt much better when you sort of reminded me that there is a lot of people that are still making the same money as they were before and got nothing.
Oh, I definitely.
Yeah.
But they're just not going out for meals,
Yeah. Well, yeah, Domino's must be fucking killing it right now.
It's shit though, because I hope not. I really hope that people are like more ordering in from like independent places in their own neighborhoods that are really cool and like run by cool people. Like, every time I'm ordering in food, which is like every 2 weeks or something, I'm always going to like the neighborhood places that I know the people and I like them. And I hope more people are like taking that initiative to be like, these are the folks that are in trouble.
Yeah, needing it. Yeah, for sure.
Much I do love a filthy Domino's when the time is right,
Yeah, exactly. Right, man.
Last Domino's I had was with Wes in a hotel room in Manchester.
Yeah,
sat on
I
the
mean,
floor.
as long as you're like this, a Domino's is fine. Like,
Yeah,
no one can blame you for that.
for sure.
I'm just showing off my pajamas to everyone there.
I still can't see you, man. You're still frozen on that one picture. I wish I could
Really?
see your pajama. Yeah.
Oh shit! I really hope that
Can't
it's
see a
not like
thing.
that in the YouTube upload, because that'll be bad for everyone else.
No, it's a nice picture. It'll be great.
Right, cool. Well, we've been talking for like an hour now, bro. So we better
Okay.
wrap it up.
Well, I've had a lovely time.
Yeah, thank you very
Yeah.
much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers, bro. Right,
I
well,
got some good shit out of it.
yeah. Have a nice paint for the rest of the day.
I will. I'm going to be baking muffins and then painting probably.
Yeah, sweet. Right,
All right.
cool. Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye-bye. How do I stop this?